Retro Ray. SDF. I always knew the game was gonna bring you back to me one day. We're looking for this. And when it's coming. The last balance change you got from me, it wasn't good enough for you? Maybe. Why? Retro Ray does not know what he wants. Or do you know, but are loath to use the frannies on your own? Your patch comes in a few days, and it is what lay inside the patch you seek, don't you? Let me see your hand.
The black spot. Black spot. Black spot.
My game sense is as good as ever, just so you know. Warlocks and wizards do magic damage, so magic resistance will make you safe. Retro Ray. And so you have magic resistance with you. Perk. This is a magic resistance perk. Yes. Is the magic resistance perk going to help? If you don't want it, take it off. No. Then it helps.
Right, boys, let's get right into it. We're going to break down Spud's Is This Game Dead video and add my 2 cents on the game balance and the direction of the game. Before we go, I make memes at the start of my videos. Those videos get demonetized. If you want to support, like my videos, share my videos, subscribe to my YouTube and or Twitch, consider becoming a member, yada yada, and we'll get right into it.
State of this game. This is literally the state of this game. I'm out. That's it. First game. First game. I'm just dealing with teaming. I'm literally out. Let's just say that. Like, I'm always thinking about the teaming thing too, man. Such a big problem with this game that I think they really need to incentivize PvP, and not for rank points. I mean, like, when you can collect the souls of other players for upgrades or something. I know that sounds mental, but you know how you have the souls? Like, even for solo queue, you can collect people's souls and go and take that back to your inventory, your stash, and it has to upgrade something. Because right now there needs to be an incentive.
Yeah, so like starting off, obviously teaming is pretty bad for the game. And I think they do need to have some sort of PvP incentivized loop for the game. I think Spud has a really good solution, and I like to add to that. So I think his idea of collecting player soul hearts and then, or at least some variation of that. I don't know that you should have to sacrifice a 4 slot for that, especially if they intend to keep the AP system, which he dislikes. Because I think getting PvP kills should reward you with some sort of gear upgrade that you would normally get from crafting gear. So currently when you craft gear, crafted gear gives you like luck or physical damage reduction, move speed bonus, etc., etc. I think all that gear should be deleted from the game and should be removed completely. And I think all the gear that you get should be found gear in the dungeon, especially gear that is really strong. So like gold cloaks need to go, all that shit needs to go. However, I think that the affixes that are attached to those pieces of gear should drop in the form of craftable or a form of like lootable things like token of honor, gold teeth, etc. And then combining those with player kills. So you get your soul hearts from player kills, and then you use like 10 soul hearts plus gold teeth, add it to my heavy boots, and now I have golden heavy boots that give me luck. Not I just brought heavy boots out of thin air and not RNG this, wait for the perfect roll RNG. I roll whatever my roll is in the dungeon on epic gear or whatever, or if you want to make it one step further and go upgrade one higher unique gear, doesn't really matter. I can add that specific luck with a gold tooth plus player kills to my gear. If I want the copper speed, I can add copper speed to any piece of gear if I get enough player kills and then add the copper ore. That makes sense to you guys. That's what I like to be.
Holy, there's 7 of them.
Balance issues. Say barbarians dominated for just so long, and it's only just starting to like go down a bit with some of the axe changes, like the throwing axes and all that. That dominated for way too long. Like, it just made the game so boring for squads and solos, particularly solos. Like, you couldn't play Wizard for like 4 months, dude. 4 months, you saw a barbarian, it was GG. And there would always be one nerd that would get out the bifocals and go, well, technically speaking, it is your hard counter, bro. Technically speaking. You know what I mean? And it's like, that rhetoric has kind of died down now. You know, people don't talk like that as much. I think people are realizing...
Spot doesn't want the AP system in the... I shouldn't say he doesn't want it in the game. He dislikes the AP system. I think the AP system is actually good for the game for 2 reasons. One, I feel like just going for player kills will ruin part of the game that they want. Like, it just makes the PvE not even worth it. You're just like sprinting and full killing people if they get rid of the AP system and just go back to some sort of kill system. And the AP system also curbs inventory stashing of like mass friends and bandages. There's nothing more annoying than getting friend spammed by a barb or a fighter or a bard. And there's nothing, or throwing knife spammed by a rogue, etc., etc. And I don't think, even like getting infinitely shot by bolts, same category, or arrows, same category. And if you take the AP system away, it allows people to go into lobbies with more heals, more pots, more utility, and then it just makes the game more cringe, feels worse when you're playing. The AP system, the way it is currently, might not be the best, but it curbs that because you can't have a full inventory of friends and be at a high rank and get out with enough points unless you're like completing the entire map and definitely like clearing every fucking mob. That maybe works on like trios and a little bit to duos to an extent, but doesn't work so much in solos, which is what me and Spud play the most. I play duos 50-50 with solos, and Spud plays mainly solos. So a lot of his complaints are like solo / OCE server issues. He then goes on to say like class balance is busted and you know, it's not fun when the lobbies are full of barbs, but he fails to take into account that the only reason why solos are full of barbs, which I don't think barb has been that oppressive. I mean, right off wipe, it was basically unplayable when the season started, and me and like 1 or 2 other people are the only people having success on that class. Then the gear split happened and the stat split happened, and barbs became a little bit better right off rip because everyone started using the Zweihander because I kind of forced people to use the Zweihander. And then after that, people realized like, oh, I'm playing Wizard and Warlock. I can just get like 1,000 knowledge and will, and I'm just GG. And yeah, that's what's happening now. All the solo lobbies, Wizard and Warlock are definitely the best class in the game. I don't know why Spud thinks Wizard is so bad. I think it's because he plays on OCE servers, which means you get like rogued and teamed on a lot. But like Wizard and Warlock are by far the best classes in solos and in trios. Range damage is completely out of control. So I'm not trying to like defend my class too much. Barb was definitely good, but I don't think Barb was good because the class was good. I think Barb was good because Franciscas were so oppressive and you could buy unlimited of them for a while, or at least a significant amount of them. And because the Zweihander, the weapon, was so good. I think people need to start, when they think about balance, to separate the class from like the things the class uses, because things the class is using might be broken, but the class might not be broken. It's like Wizard Bong Stick is broken, or at least off rip it was, but I don't think the actual perk itself necessarily was broken. I just think the weird scaling between that and like a magic staff was broken. So yeah, just we're getting a little muddy waters when you get into stuff like that. So just to be careful on that is probably the best solution.
People can adapt and they enjoy it. Like me, I always play 3 or 4 different classes. So whatever's working at the time, I'll make it work. But some people, they only want to play Wizard. Like imagine if you only wanted to play Wizard. Wizard has, obviously it's a meme now with a bonk stick, right? It's kind of broken. But up until this very moment, Wizard's been pretty much unviable for so much of the gameplay's lifespan. You know, outside of the first couple of playtests where he had a tactical nuke as a fireball, which was hilarious. But yeah.
And then he says Barbarians dominated for so long. I don't think Barbarians dominated for that long. It was very short-lived in the solo, at least for this season. In the other season with the Horseman Axe, yeah, it was probably a little too strong, but then they gutted it. But that was because the stats were very easy to acquire. You just got agility and strength, and that was it. And Barbarians already had strength, so then you just got agility, and then you were just good to go. And this stat split, Barbarians got hurt the most. When the gear got shifted to 5 stats, it got buffed. But then everyone else realized that you could get 5 stats on like casters, and then Barbarian kind of fell off. Barbarian also, like I said before, the Zweihander was overpowered. It wasn't Barbarian, it was just the Zweihander plus being able to throw Francescas. And Spud's experience of that was way more because Barbarian is absolutely, utterly useless in trios and duos because you don't do enough damage. You're too slow to get in before you take too much poke damage. You can't build PDR like you could before. Only fighter can do that. Your magic resistance perk and your MR doesn't do anything either. So if you're fighting a wizard, you still just die anyway. So yeah, like realistically, Barbarian was just in like a really bad spot for the other 2 modes. So if you were playing Barbarian and you wanted to actually have fun on the game, you had to play solo. So it makes the solo players feel like Barbarian is overpowered because there's a lot more Barbarians in the game. And Barbarian is statistically better in solos. So of course, like their experience varies wildly from like a trios or a duos player.
Still love your game. And that's without focusing on all the class imbalances alone. Because it was proven the last major update that a big content update, like a new map and a couple new things, didn't really fix a lot of the gameplay loop issues that are making the game suffer right now, which is like the cheater teamer situation, right? You know, a lot of teaming.
He's like above the floor.
Wang Meng QI4.
Wow.
Because he's like levitating. It looks like he's got double speed too, so yeah, it's cheats. Yeah. Yeah, he's speed hacking, yeah. He's zooming.
He also talks about cheating a lot. I actually don't think there's that much cheating in the game, except for like ESP. There's probably quite a bit of people that are ESPing, but in the clip that he shows, that guy's actually not cheating. It's just a skill issue, dev issue. That was a ladder bug. He's not cheating. He's not speed hacking. I think it's harder than one would think to get those cheats into the game and not be detected. That is a literal bug on the ladder. I've had it happen to me. If you jump on a ladder, any ladder in the game, which is why I believe they also removed the ice map and runes map and all that from the queues, other than the fact that they just wanted people to play runes. I mean, Crips, I think they removed it because they couldn't fix the ladder bug in time and they just wanted to get out of the game. If you jump on a ladder halfway up and then you ride the ladder up, you will instantly start flying and move at maximum speed, and there's no way to get down unless you run into a wall and it's curved and it brings you down. That is not cheating. It's a bug. It's abusing potentially, but it's not cheating. He didn't cheat. He didn't inject code into the game. He didn't fucking manipulate game files. He literally got on a ladder and it bugged him out. The only way to stop it is to get on a ladder and complete the duration up or down. And then he talks about like the content update. I think the content update actually does do quite a bit of things. I think there was just a mismatch between expectation of what was being delivered last time and what actually got delivered. I think the game got into a really good state like mid-season, and then everyone kind of figured out the meta, and then people were complaining, especially the solo players, because solo is one of those things where they can't get the balance right, especially when they have an identity crisis of what they want the game to be. So for starters, it's a battle royale game, so we're down one niche. That it's a looter extraction game, so now we're down a second niche. And now we're in a fantasy game, so now we're down 3 niches, so the player base is already going to be low in general. But we're 3 niches down, and they have a problem with balancing the game because they don't know what they want. They say they want to balance the game for trios, but then they have the solo experiment mode and duos mode in the game. But then it turns out everyone's playing solo and duos and not trios, except for the high-profile streamers who are just doing it, by the way, not because they like to play trios, but because doing any sort of collaboration type thing for them is good. gets them more views, gets them more money. So that's the only reason why I think they play. I think everyone would be much better off playing duos. I think they should eliminate the trios queue, and they should stop balancing the game around trios. If you balance the game around trios, generally speaking, the whole game suffers because trios, no matter how or what map you play, will always be about who does the most range damage every single time in every single game. Why would anyone ever risk their 40k kit by going into melee combat ever if they don't have to? It just doesn't make any sense. So it will never happen. It'll never be good for the game. They need to balance the game around solos because solos is where the most fighting happens and the most melee combat takes place, because as a player who's running into melee, you don't often get two tapped before you get in to fight because it's not two people shooting ranged or three people shooting ranged projectiles at you. So yeah, remove trios, balance the game based around solos, and everything will be happy. Then Spud and a lot of other players' experiences will, or opinions will change because he's having all these problems because he's a solo player on OCE server.
And they need less queues. There's too much spreading of the player base. You spread the player base too thin. I mean, even with the current system, because right now there's only 7 queues, right? 7 queues is still too many. Like, this game needs 2 queues at best with the current, with 5,000 active players. Like, if you go to smaller regions, 2 queues, you've split up, let's say OCE right now has 100 people playing out of the 5,000 average. You now have them split between, that 100 is split 50-50. Now let's actually use the real number. It's 7 queues right now. 100 players split 7 ways. Mental. And I understand why they had the queue system with normals and HR. It needed to be in the game in some capacity. But eventually, I don't know, man. This is a really tough one. Because it's the way the game works with gear systems and fighting people. I don't know how they're going to do it. But I know that the queue system's too much. They need to amalgamate things more. As much as people are going to hate it, they're going to be like, I just want to play Crypts all day, bro. Don't make me play Ice Caves or whatever the f. Like, dude, a Steam release is only going to be a band-aid, because what I'm going to say with my suggestions is they need to make the gameplay loop really engaging and fun. I don't feel like it's there anymore because the PvP had been asked for so long. Like, imagine you're playing anything but Barbarian up until this point. The game was just Barbenheimer. What? I know I got no armor, but f***ing hell, dude. You just play, in solo queue, it was just nothing but barbarians everywhere. And it was so stale and boring for so long. And the game still kind of feels that way. Like, Barbarian isn't as strong as before, but I don't know, man. The variety just doesn't feel like it's there like it used to be in certain patches. So if they've released on Steam right now, again, just a premature, and after a lot of experience with the game, what is actually stagnating it right now. And I would say it comes down to class balance issues and a gameplay loop. And if you think I'm talking arse, they've intended for a 3-tier system in this game with the maps since they did the first playtest. And look at us now. They're still experimenting with it and they can't make it work. They don't know how to get it working. Yeah, maybe they'll prove us wrong in 2-3 months. But as of this moment, people just play that first tier and they bugger off. The only people that don't are the 1%, the top 1%, and they go farm as a squad the Inferno bosses, and that's it. And that would literally be 1% of the player base. So most people fill up their inventory on ruins or the ice map, tier 1, and then they just leave. There is no going down.
Trios from the game they need to have 4 separate queues. 2 queues for solos, 2 queues for duos. So you can pick either runes or crypts, or you can pick ice map or goblin caves, and then it just swaps the 2 so you can always kind of play 2 of your favorite maps. So for me, if I had my way, I would have ice map and runes, and then goblin caves and crypts, so that I could always swap between the 2. So I could always play ice cave or I could always play runes. And then every map needs to have 1 tier down. 1 tier down only. The reason why people don't go down, like Spud thinks, is that he says that they just play on the top level and then they fuck off. Partially true. The reason why people don't go down is because they're dead. I don't think he understands that. They're dead. People aren't going on the map and then leaving on blue portals on purpose, especially in the group modes. They're just dying. People want to go down. They're just dying. Why would I, as a player who's good at the game, let anyone go down with me if I want to just AP farm or anything? Like I want to get the kills on the top level, unless it's an unadvantageous position for me to fight. I'm always gonna kill as many people as I can and then go down.
Vibe, like just make every map a single like rotation, like a single experience. No tier system, because I really want people to go through like tiers. And even when it was just Inferno and Crypts or whatever, like many people didn't go down. It's wild. Hell almost seems empty. Yeah, even when the game was buzzing, game is dying, revert to what works. Make it super easy to go through tier 1 and tier 2. Like possible within the first few minutes of a match. Oh, like a Tarkov system where you quickly run to like the extract and go down. But the thing is, it always waits for the whole server to go down. They'd have to change the whole system. See, there's something they wouldn't do because the whole system is based on like a time system where it's like, okay, everyone's playing the same time-based match. You get to the exit and then you're waiting for the match to follow through. So that wouldn't work. And then because of the zone situation too, yeah. Chris, back in the day, was action-packed.
So I don't think people aren't going down necessarily. I think people aren't going down because they're dying, among other means. If they can somehow implement into the game where you can go down early and then remove the zone from the bottom portion of the map and just have it as like a timer with like static. So it just go like, it'll just be like, imagine you get 15 minutes on the top map or 20 minutes on the top map. Then the bottom map would be 30 minutes long. So you'd have automatically 10 minutes by the time the top zone ends. But you'd also be able to go down there immediately and have 30 whole minutes in the bottom tier of the zone. And I think the bottom tier of the zone also should be only statics. And I think it should be twice as big as the other portions and maybe feature more bosses. So maybe make it like sort of like a triangle based map where they have like a big square map, but like there's 3 bosses in a triangle. So like each quadrant will have their own boss that they can potentially fight no matter where you spawn. That way, if you want to go gank someone in there, you can if they go down. But then you could also do multiple bosses in the bottom. I don't think there should be any bosses on the tier 1 of the map either. That includes Goblin Caves. I think that's how they solve that problem, and that's how they amalgamate the queues. But yeah, another reason why people don't go down is because all the mobs in the bottom are cringe. The hitboxes for anything with wings needs to be fixed because if you fight a demon bat, you're dead because you hit a claw or a fucking wing. Death Skulls, same thing. If you're using any sort of side swiping weapon, you basically can't hit them and they take way too many to die. Dragonfly, same thing. All those need to be fixed. But yeah, a lot of the mobs in the bottom are just cringe and nobody wants to fight. The Axe Skeleton, they ruined the dodge mechanic because they gave him like a 3-tiered hit, which is almost impossible to decipher what he's going to do. So you can just RNG die. They're removing cheese spots from the game, but they won't make the mobs fun to fight. They make the mobs absolutely stupid. Like Centaur should have no charge on his ability. You shouldn't just randomly get charged by Centaur and be murdered if you're a squishy character. Same thing for the Demon Berserker. The Demon Berserker should not have an infinite swing pattern for no reason. It should be like every other fucking mob in the game. He has one little pattern, maybe a second one. They're easily telegraphed and dodged, and then you fight them. I don't think that mob should ever be a threat to you unless you've somehow managed to aggro and pull more than like a couple at a time. And I also don't think that mobs should be designed in such a way that you, as a character, especially if you're a slow person or a slow character like Barbarian, to not be dodgeable while you're swinging your weapon. If I have to, because I'm playing a slightly slower class, do a whole dodge and then be able to hit a mob, I think that's bad mob design. I don't know if that means like get rid of mob scaling. Not mob scaling. I don't know if that means they got to get rid of like the mob patterns or if they got to like remove weapon swing slowdown or anything like that. But yeah, that's got to change. Same thing with sour spots. Sour spots have to go. The only punishment you should get for hitting people or like misplay you should get is where you hit them, not did I get a sour spot because he ran at me? Like that whole thing is just dumb and needs to go. Because some weapons are even broken and don't have proper sour spots or it's not registering properly. It just needs to be where you hit somebody and then that's it. Except for mobs. Mobs need to have 2 hitboxes, headshot and body shot. No other, unless you're like hitting their feet maybe, like you can get rid of that. But like most of the mobs, you're hitting them in like the arm because their models are so janky and big and it's just stupid. They need to just remove that. You need to have the headshot critical spot. I say that because the Wendigo obviously is in the chest. And then they need to have body damage. That's it. More people will go down to Inferno if you enable those changes. Make it easier to go there. No time limit in there except for the whole time limit of the game. Make it static only to get out from the bottom so you can go into High Roller whenever you want. and make the mobs less cringe. That will let people get in there, because the reason why people aren't going down is because they're getting killed before they can get down.
1 second, Jake. He said, am I looking forward to PvP Arena? No, because look what happened with Tarkov Arena. Tarkov Arena, that game. And I see the same thing happening with this. Unless they interweave it into the gameplay experience where it's like, oh, you win gear in the arena and then take it into the experience or something. But like,
is going to be fucking terrible. I think it's going to split the game even more. They need to stop splitting the game. PvP arena is stupid, because all that's going to happen is, one, the game balance, if they start to take balance ideas from Arena 2, it'll get completely out of whack, because in Arena, you'll just bring in 8,000 Francescas, 8,000 heals, 8,000 whatever. And that's why I like the AP system. It prevents you from building all these like really cringe, over consumable options. And I think that's how you solve a lot of the balance issues. So yeah, Arena, stupid, bad, gonna split the player base, not worth investing any time into. They should just stop doing that entirely. Same with the multiclassing. Multiclassing is gonna get completely imbalanced. No matter how they slice it, no matter how you do it, you're just diverting time from what should be done to fix the actual game. But if it's pick whatever perks you want, it's literally everyone's gonna use robust, everyone's gonna use second wind, sprint, and a couple of the other broken ass perks. Like, I'm sure if everyone had to take perks on any class, you take robust, you take maybe Iron Will, you take the whatever PDR perk that you can get on fighter, and then you take like one super mega damage perk if you're playing anything that isn't a caster, and you take sprint and second wind. And then following that, if you're on a caster, you would take all the stuff that buffs your casting speed and your knowledge on no matter which one you take, because I know the wizard has another one, the will perk, and then you just have like 1,000,000 damage. So yeah, it would just be stupid. The class multiclassing is just broken. It will just break the game. They'll never be able to balance that. Do not do that. If they want to add cool things to the game that kind of give it that flavor, just add a bunch more playable races that give you like more of a benefit and a nerf. So like, if you want to take elf, make it like the pick for elf skin is good because it's like 1 move speed or whatever, but like make those more weighted if you think that you want to have some sort of multi-classing bullshit, right? Make that the style of the game. If you pick drow, you get 5 decks or something like that. Like, make that the situation, not what they're doing now.
Look what happened. Like, sorry, no variety in the environment. Like, if I tune into the game and I play the game and I get in the queue, pretty much always going to guarantee be playing against the same group of people. And after a while, they get stout. And then if you're a content creator and you make live content like me, if you're live streaming, I can guarantee if they do not have a semblance of morals, they will open up your stream, see what you got, and snipe you for your gear. It's bloody wild, because I can tell when I play this game off stream, I can tell the difference night and day. Like, it's a completely different experience, man. I think one of the big issues is everyone loves crypts and they've got to go through ruins to get to crypts. Jay gets stream sniped constantly whenever I watch him. It looks so doomed. Yeah. Well, when it comes to the stream sniping thing, he's had that since get-go, but it gets easier now as the player community's dropped off a bit. So what he's getting is what I got in Osh like 6 months ago, because that's why I always say people in NA and EU, they never get it unless I really hit it home. Whatever happens in Osh, whether it's cheaters, the country of unknown origins, or for streamers, they're getting sniped 24/7 based on player numbers or the way the game's designed. Whatever happens in Osh happens 3 to 6 months later in America on that game and its community. Saw it in Cycle, saw it in so many other games before. Same shit. So that's why, you know, as a streamer, I try not to whinge about my own woes streaming the game, because the perception from the NA and EU community, they don't see it from my perspective. They don't experience it like I do on the OCE server. So they're just going to look at me like, oh, this fucking whingy dick, like, just harden the fuck up. But then when it happens to them, they're like, fucking game, bro. You know what I mean? So I don't get too dicky about it. I just saw it in other games in the past. It just is what it is. Like I said, once there's a reason for people to come back and play the game, hopefully that won't be happening to streamers like that, where they're constantly getting sniped because there's more people playing the game. The servers are diluted. But right now, I got a feeling like if a streamer like Jay Griffey plays on prime time and there's only like 2 groups of servers at the same time, like in NA, like there's, let's say NA West, right? If I queued right now, I'd get in one lobby or the second lobby. You've got a 1-2 chance of queuing up with your favorite streamer to either toxically stream snipe them or just, hey bro, I'm just friendly. Here's a level 4 ghillie suit, you know? And streamers don't, like, it's the friendly stream sniping's fun every now and then, but when it becomes the entire experience of the game, it ruins it for them, because like they're just getting free shit, or they don't have natural interactions in PvP or anything. It seems fun at first, but it gets terrible really quickly. That's why I've never.
Yeah, and then so going on to his further point about like Q sniping and stuff like that, I think that like these people are delusional. So here's my 2 cents on this because it's kind of a big topic in the overall streaming, YouTube, content creation community and all that. So we'll go from like the specifics of this game to the overall meta. So I don't think the stream sniping is actually that bad in this game. And even though it is sort of bad, especially for the people that play a lot, I think the people that are doing it literally aren't doing enough to prevent themselves from getting stream sniped. And what do I mean by that? It is so easy to stop yourself from getting stream sniped in a game like this. For starters, there's already a 5-minute leaver queue penalty. So like when you leave, you can't queue for 5 minutes. I know that's kind of recent, but it's in the game. If you record yourself loading into 4 different maps, pre-record yourself, and I know all the streamers that are big have a stream deck, so like this is not out of the possibility. Even if you didn't, you could literally manually click it in your OBS. And you hide your screen as if you are not going to be able to queue into the game, like you're trying not to get queue sniped, and then you play the looped video of you loading into a pregame lobby, you will get rid of 95% of your fucking stream snipers in about 2 minutes. It'll be almost impossible for them to detect you. You have 4 different versions. You just pick one at random. You play it, the pre-recorded thing while you're on stream, and no one's getting into your lobbies. And if there is, it'll cut down like 95% of them. Should you have to do this as a streamer? Obviously not. In an ideal world, you shouldn't have to do it. But here's the thing. You're playing video games for a living. Let me say that one more time in case you delusional fucks don't get it. You are playing video games for a living. That is the curse you get for playing video games for a living. You could be at Walmart getting harassed. You could be working at McDick's getting harassed. You could be slinging fucking bricks all day and concrete and power washing in fucking minus 50-degree weather. You could be fucking working with your hands and getting your fingers chopped off. You could have fucking windows fall on you while you're on job sites. You could be dealing with HR and complaints. You could be on the phone all day. No. What you're doing is playing video games. Your crux and your dickhead employee or customer that's being mad at you is the stream sniper. That's what you have to deal with. If you open up your chat right now to any one of you fucking loser streamers watching, and I say this even though I stream as well, you ask any one of your chat members, hey, chatter 456, who has to work at McDonald's for 24 hours, you want to switch spots with me and you take the stream sniping and I go work at McDonald's and make minimum wage? Or I go work at concrete and construction? You want to take my job and have a couple stream snipers stripe you? You get to play video games all day? I'm willing to bet you 1,000,000% that they take that trade every time. So when you complain about these stream snipers, nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. And that's just it. You shouldn't be complaining either. That's part of the job. That's it. That's you're literally part of the job. That's the crux of your job. When you're at Walmart and there's some fucking old man who can't find anything, you gotta help him 40 minutes, or you're at Walmart and some person's bitching at you because they can't find something, that's their fucking shitty thing about their job. Your shitty thing is you get fucking stream sniped.
Encouraged it, so it went flying. The wipe should help a lot. I got a raging suspicion, dude, that it would bring back maybe another 3,000 or 4,000 players. That's like a bit of a temporary band-aid, but they'll move on pretty quick. So I'm not being a doomer. I'm just being transparent and realistic with you guys. I don't think it'll be as good as we hope. The wipe. I want to be wrong though. I'd love for the developers to just take a big sloppy shit all over my face right now and just make me look like a dickhead. Puts me on the spot, I guess. Everyone go, hey, Spuddy, you.
Yeah, as far as the wipe, I think the wipe should bring back enough players that the game matters. They're really suffering on data and like what people want, I think, for the most part. And I think they're valuing streamer opinions way too heavily. I don't think they're actually looking at community complaints at all. I think it's mainly just streamer complaints. It's the same thing as the recent drama with the scrim lobbies. They're taking into account these people's opinions way too heavily. Thankfully, they kiboshed that. Everyone that was complaining about that are being gone. It's just stupid. The streamers, they say that they want gold lobbies because they want to get high PvP, but that's not actually what they want. They actually don't care about that. They're just lying. And for everyone that's delusional, let me explain to you why the streamer and scrim lobbies exist. for real and not what their bullshit excuse is. The reason why those lobbies exist is because these people are the lowest slop slinging, push the sludge out content creators of the game. If you go look at Apollo TV's last like 4 videos, I'm not trying to shut on him too much, but I just use that as an example because I got suggested one of his videos. All of his videos are just like live rips of his fucking stream of I used Kuma's Claw to steal Kuma's Fulgor, to get my Bloodthorn, to get Stinky Stick, to kill the boss, to wipe a team, to get their Viola. Like, it's so cringe, it's fucking disgusting. All their content is push the sludge through the fucking pipes. Get my live content sludge through the fucking pipes and put it out. That's why those lobbies exist. Because they couldn't make that content if they had to play regular lobbies like the rest of us, because you wouldn't run into those people on a regular basis enough that you would be able to push content daily of you just fucking killing other people with named weapons. That's why those lobbies exist. They're going to lie to you and tell you that they exist because they want to have good PvP fights. They want to fight people with gear. You could down gear, not that you should, if you wanted to get a fair PvP fight and test your skill, but they won't do that. They want those lobbies not because of the gear. They don't really care about that. They care about making money. They care about YouTube views. They care about stats for their game. They care about content creation. They want to make money off of the thing they're doing, which, don't get me wrong, is fair, but they have to do no original thoughts. There's not one original thought between these fucking guys that are doing content like that. They just push the sludge from their live stream to YouTube. They slap it on and call it a day. People like Spud Hunter, who rip their live, are different because he's ripping live and he's live editing a lot of the time, and a lot of it's more like commentary based rather than just pushing the sludge gameplay. But yeah, a lot of those people are just pushing sludge gameplay. People like Damood or Demo, myself, Dark Harvester, a couple of these other guys. I think even Brad Quaxon to an extent, although I haven't watched his videos in a while. Party Hat is a little bit similar too. Like, these people are actually making thoughtful videos, actual like content, rather than pushing sludge from their live stream. Even though a lot of them are using live recorded gameplay or stream recorded gameplay, it's not like some mindless, I stole Fulgor to get Fulgor. It's like, I decided to craft this specific build and play it in a specific way, and here's the thought experiment of that from a gameplay that I recorded. Now, it can be recorded or live, doesn't really matter, but like, the other people aren't doing that. They're just like, I use my best kit with my Fulgor to steal the fucking Kuma's Claw from some other retard. Like, it's like the most low-hanging fruit possible. So yeah, it just kind of really irks me when I see shit like that. And people defend that server for the purposes of like, oh, we want good battles or PvP. We want to have fun playing PvP. That's not why they do that. They don't give a shit, actually. They're going to say that they do, but they don't. They just care about money.
I don't feel like a lot of people from normals migrate to HR anyway. They kind of just stick there because they like the PvP better. The people that play normals. I've seen Reddit threads where they go, "Oh, PvP is better in normals because in HR you get gear stomped by certain builds." You know.
Oh yeah. Also, I didn't really mention this as well, but like, so I'll have to add this into my normal section. Hopefully, I can edit it properly. So, on top of the 2 queue system that I propose, or 4 queue system that I propose, where it's like 2 queues for solo, 2 queues for duo, so you can pick whatever like type of map you want to play. They also need to remove normals from the game entirely. Like, normals have to go. Nobody should be playing normals. The way to curb people not playing normals is twofold. They need to make a single player experience that gives you a system sort of tutorial where you can either practice against mobs in general, or like spawn any mob you want and practice it, or a specific tailored experience for each individual class where you can play with every sort of thing. You can hot swap your items and skills and abilities, and you need to let people play that solo, and then you need to give players, new players specifically, 3 pots and 3 bandages on spawn, like they do in Greed is Good. That's about the only thing that's good about that game, because if I'm a new player, even if I play normals and I log in and I queue Goblin Caves and I get hit by 1 goblin and I lose half my health or more, I'm quitting the game. Like, most people are just done after that. They have to play like 30 times before they can extract to even buy 1 bandage. There's never enough heals dropped in the dungeon. So yeah, they need to spawn people with 3 bandages and 3 pots. I don't think it's gonna break the game. Any class that spawns with pots or bandages like Fighter or Warlock, just give them something else and give every single class 3 pots and 3 bandages to start. or remove all the unique starting items from all the classes and just give everyone 3 pots and 3 bandages. It's not going to break the game if you do that, and it's going to make new players feel amazing. They're going to be able to actually learn the game faster, play the game more. It's not going to be like I queue into the game and I die like 50 times before I can get out. It'll actually make the game fun.
Took over 5 years ago, which is Fortnite, Warzone, Apex Legends. They all have billion-dollar companies behind them that put like 1,000 staff to constantly shit out major updates every couple months that really do shift the game a lot and keep it fresh. Most
fine. Like, yeah, sitting down is like a little bit cringe, but the thing is, after playing Wizard a little bit on stream and dealing with Wizard in my solos and duos and trios, Wizard is by far the most overpowered class in the game. It will probably always be that because it has range. And now that you can get all these knowledge stacking because it's 5 stats, like that class is so utterly busted. When you have gear on certain, Spud, I don't know if he understands this. I'm sure he does to an extent. The classes just scale differently with gear. Yeah, you need a lot of gear to play Wizard. But when you have a lot of gear on Wizard, you're basically unkillable if you're good at the game. No other class can contest you. No other class can fuck with you. If I have unique and gold bis gear on Barbarian and I see a Wizard that is in the same amount of gear, unless he is vastly less skilled than me, or I get some miracle god drop on him, I am dead 900 times out of 10. Like, I'm always dead. I can never contest him. I can never get in on him. I will never do enough damage to get to him. I will never do, nothing will ever work. On top of that, when we're talking about balance, I think all on-hit effects, Dark Reflect and that Ice Shield, and anything else that would apply from an on-hit effect in the future need to be completely removed from the game. I don't think you should be punished for landing hits like you're supposed to in melee. I don't think you should be punished for that. So Dark Reflect needs to go. The Ice Shield needs to go. Same with like getting hit by mobs, goblins in particular, especially for new players. The punishment for getting hit by a mob should be you got hit by the mob, not, oh, I got hit by the mob and now I have some poison on me or some slow on me or some bullshit on me. It's the punishment is you got hit by the mob, you lost HP. And
exactly. That's how I felt since playing Crips, dude. Like Crips, it's not the visual aesthetic, it's the gameplay flow. It just works so well. Ruins was done roughly in 4 or 5 weeks. Maybe, and then they've just stuck with it. I don't know. The thing is, they should be aware of their design philosophy. As a rogue player, you hate Ruins. I think what you need to be doing on Ruins as a rogue is you're doing the double jump memes. A lot of those guys have learned all the trick spots. Like someone who's really good with double jump playing rogue, they feel untouchable on that map when they know what they're doing. Because they just get away so quickly. Holy shit, there actually is a lot of rogues. What the f— And if you're not playing a PvP build, you're just getting in. I guess I'm talking about the gold farm.
that, you know, they're constantly having to compete with other games and shit out content. I don't think people actually care too much. Like, people obviously want content, and I don't disagree with him here. And I think that's part of the reason why the game is suffering. But I don't think that people need to have content shit out on them 24/7. They just need to have like slight tweaks to the game. Call of Duty gets stale all the time. All the time Call of Duty gets stale. I think the solution to Call of Duty being stale is tweak the gun damage every 2 weeks so that everyone has a chance to have their favorite weapon in the meta. The same thing with this game applies. It's impossible to balance a game like this for multiple reasons. One, most games have to follow the golden triangle rule, speed, damage, and range. And in this game, you have to follow 2 golden triangle rules overlaid on top of each other because this game is a ranged game for ranged players. So speed, damage, and tank versus the melee triangle, because some people are basically only melee, like Barbarian, for instance. You have to, and to an extent Rogue, and Fighter, but they're a little bit different. They have a little bit more ranged options. But like, then you have to overlay that triangle over top of the regular melee triangle, and then the game becomes unbalanceable because there's no game, there's no looter game ever that where if you have range or get the first hit, like gear game, the looter extraction game, where you have better gear than people, where if you get the first hit or have range, that isn't always the best possible, strongest possible way to play the game. That's why hide is broken on broke and it should be removed from the game. Invis in general should be removed from the game because first hit is so valuable in this game that that shit can never be balanced properly. Same with range. Being able to do range damage to people from like a tile over, even anything outside of like 15 meters that doesn't function like Warlock Darkbolt needs to be tweaked and or removed from the game. Range damage like Darkbolt is fine because Darkbolt requires a Warlock to make a really good hit, aim really well, and then I also have to make a bad dodge on my end to get hit by Darkbolt at massive range. So anything that isn't like that needs to be completely removed from the game in order to balance the game at all. And then, of course, to keep the game fresh, all they need to do is rotate the balance of classes, tweak a couple numbers. They need to have less people focused on content for the game and like big picture ideas, and people, there needs to be like a small dedicated group of people that just like tweak numbers every other week to make every class have its moment in the sun. Yeah, I know Spud says blah blah blah, you don't want to pass like the parcel around and to get like to make certain classes OP for a certain amount of time, but games like this almost never get balanced, and certainly not looter shooters that have class systems, and certainly not looter shooters that have class systems that also have melee specific only classes. Most other looter shooters don't suffer from this problem because they have one thing, and it's just range damage only. It's everyone has a gun. So yeah, it just doesn't really work when not all the classes have that option. And I don't think you'd want all the classes to have that option either in a game like this, because one, it ruins the fantasy. Two, everyone would just use that. Like it's right now, like everyone's using, I have to have 40 Franciscas on my Barb to even be playable. If I'm playing duos and I play Barb, if I go in at all on a 2v2 situation before my partner gets there and does all of his poke damage with range, I automatically get deleted. Doesn't matter if I have 4 times better the gear, doesn't matter if I make a bad play or a good play, I'm automatically going to lose to the enemy team who's got range or some sort of burst damage because I didn't use my poke when they did. So it's just kind of like fucked in that situation. So I think that we need to just like slow up on that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then he says that they farm Inferno bosses and whatever. I don't think that named weapons should be as inaccessible as they are currently either. I think named weapons need to come from an amalgamation of sources. I don't think it should just be from bosses. I think bosses should guarantee it more, but I think you as a player, especially if you're a solo player and you don't want to kill the troll boss or the Cyclops boss, and you have to get them both to get a named weapon if you're a solo player, should be locked out of getting named weapons as a solo player other than like buying them off market. I think that's cringe. I think they need to figure out a new way. Maybe it's like you have to get a certain amount of player kills and you can unlock a key that opens up a room that has a chance to spawn it or something like that. But they need more rooms and more ways to get named weapons that don't involve bossing, that involve you just either getting a certain amount of kills on players or like extracting a certain amount of times or killing a certain amount of sub bosses, because I don't think people like to boss. So like imagine if you could get a mystical gem that could get you a named weapon by killing 100 players. I think that's way cooler than like, oh, I farmed troll and I accidentally got my mystical gem and I got a named weapon. So yeah, I think that needs to
That's what I would do if I was a gamer.
anything is possible.
Yo, gold chest, come unlock it.
Yeah. Oh, people fighting here.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, you guys got that, bro. You win that. He actually does just win that. You know what? You can't even make this game up. This game is actually so bad, it's unbelievable. You can't even make this stuff up. Like, I don't even know why I bother playing the game. Yeah, but now you're just gonna get third party. Isn't that sick? Like, why do you even play the game, actually? Like, why do I play the game? What do I actually do?